The first victory a man or woman must win is not on a battlefield, nor in a marketplace, nor even in the eyes of society. The first and greatest battle is fought within the mind. Every triumph in the outer world begins as a seed planted in the soil of thought. If the seed is strong, well-nourished, and persistent, it will grow into a mighty oak of achievement. But if the seed is weak, neglected, or choked with weeds of doubt and fear, it will perish before it can take root. To develop a mind that wins every time, one must learn to master the art of thought, the discipline of belief, and the science of persistence. A winning mind does not arise by accident. It is deliberately cultivated. It is the product of daily practice, conscious effort, and unwavering focus. Most people go through life permitting chance, circumstance, and other people's opinions to shape their destiny. They surrender their mental powers to the noise of the world, and then wonder why success seems to pass them by. The truth is that the world is not against them, they are against themselves. The mind left untrained is like a wild horse running in circles, full of power but without direction. But once harnessed and guided, that same power can carry a person to greatness beyond imagination. A mind that wins is founded on clarity. One must know what one wants. Vague desires create vague results. The universe responds with precision only to precise demands. To wake each day without a definite chief aim is to drift like a ship without a rudder, tossed by the winds of circumstance. But when a person defines with burning clarity what they seek, whether it be wealth, influence, mastery, or contribution, the mind begins to focus its immense energies toward that goal. The subconscious, like a faithful servant, starts aligning thoughts, ideas, and opportunities to make the vision a reality. The clearer the vision, the stronger the pull. Clarity alone, however, is not enough. One must clothe that clarity with belief. Belief is the fuel that turns thought into action. Without belief, the grandest plans collapse at the first obstacle. With belief, even the smallest idea grows into a towering achievement. Belief is not something inherited, it is something built. It grows as a muscle grows, through use and struggle. Each time you act on faith, even in the face of uncertainty, your belief grows stronger. Each time you overcome doubt, you add another stone to the foundation of your winning mind. But belief must be constantly fed. A man cannot eat once and expect to be nourished for life, nor can the mind feed once on inspiration and expect to remain strong. It must be nourished daily with affirmations, visualization, and the company of those who encourage progress. Guard carefully the influences you allow into your mind, for every book you read, every conversation you entertain, every thought you dwell upon is a seed planted in your mental garden. If you wish to harvest victory, plant only seeds of victory. Another law of the winning mind is persistence. Many begin with enthusiasm, but few endure when the journey becomes difficult. The mind that wins is not deterred by temporary defeat. It understands that failure is not the opposite of success, but its companion. Each setback contains a lesson, a clue, a spark of wisdom that, when gathered and applied, becomes the key to triumph. Persistence transforms obstacles into stepping stones. The man who refuses to quit cannot be defeated. He may be delayed, he may be tested, but ultimately he cannot be stopped. And yet, persistence without discipline is like fire without control. It can burn the builder instead of warming the home. Discipline is the art of doing what must be done, whether one feels like it or not. The winning mind is a disciplined mind. It trains itself to focus when distractions call, to work when laziness whispers, to rise when fatigue drags it down. Discipline creates consistency, and consistency creates results. It is not the grand gesture that makes a mind victorious, but the small, repeated habits performed daily. The winning mind also understands the power of imagination. Imagination is the workshop of the spirit, the bridge between the unseen and the seen. Every invention, every fortune, every empire began in the realm of imagination. The difference between the dreamer who drifts and the dreamer who conquers lies in whether imagination is coupled with action. The winning mind does not daydream idly. It dreams with purpose and then builds those dreams with persistent effort. In developing such a mind, one must also master the art of self-control. A person cannot conquer the world if they cannot conquer themselves. Anger, fear, jealousy, and resentment are thieves that rob the mind of its power. They cloud judgment, weaken willpower, and scatter focus. The winning mind rises above these emotions, not by suppressing them, but by transforming them into energy for progress. Anger can be converted into determination, fear into caution and preparation, jealousy into inspiration, and resentment into resolve. The wise mind turns even its weaknesses into weapons. No mind wins in isolation. The greatest victories are achieved through alliances. A winning mind attracts other winning minds, forming a mastermind of collective wisdom and energy. When two or more minds are united in harmony toward a definite purpose, they generate a force greater than the sum of their parts. This law of cooperation multiplies strength, sharpens ideas, and accelerates progress. The person who surrounds himself with mediocrity will sink into mediocrity, but the person who surrounds himself with greatness will rise to greatness. A mind that wins also understands the necessity of decision. Indecision is the graveyard of opportunity. How many people delay action, waiting for perfect conditions, only to watch the chance vanish before their eyes? The winning mind acts, it decides firmly, and when new facts demand adjustment, it adjusts quickly without losing momentum. Hesitation is a poison that eats away at ambition. Decision is a sword that cuts through confusion and clears the path. Above all, the winning mind is guided by purpose greater than self-interest. Selfish ambition burns out quickly, but a purpose tied to service, contribution, or legacy endures through trials. The individual who works only for themselves soon grows weary, but the one who works for a mission greater than their own comfort taps into an inexhaustible source of energy. The winning mind is not merely a mind of ambition, it is a mind of vision, seeing beyond today into the endless possibilities of tomorrow. This mind does not wait for motivation, it creates motivation. It does not wait for opportunity, it creates opportunity. It does not ask if victory is possible, it declares that victory is inevitable, for it knows that every condition in life can be shaped by thought, belief, persistence, discipline, and imagination. Consider the many men and women who began with nothing but a dream and a determination. They were not born with extraordinary gifts. They were born with the same raw mind as everyone else, but they chose to shape that mind into a tool of power. They chose to think differently, to persist longer, to believe more deeply, and because they made that choice, the world bent itself to their vision. What one has done, all may do, provided they follow the same laws of thought. To develop a mind that wins every time, you must take responsibility for every thought you entertain. You must build clarity of purpose, strengthen belief, practice persistence, exercise discipline, fuel imagination, master self-control, seek alliances with great minds, decide swiftly, and root your mission in something larger than yourself. Do this, and no power on earth can stop you. Victory begins not when the world applauds you, but when you decide within that you are already victorious. The winning mind does not wait for circumstances to change, it changes circumstances. It does not complain about obstacles, it transforms them. It does not wonder if success will come, it makes success inevitable. And so, I leave you with this truth: the battlefield of life is first won in the silence of your own thoughts. Train your mind to see victory, to expect victory, to demand victory, and the outer world will eventually reflect that inner mastery, for the man or woman who governs their mind governs their destiny. The one who wins within wins without. The mind that wins every time is not content with surface victories. It seeks mastery over the very patterns of thought that shape destiny. Each day is a proving ground where the individual either strengthens or weakens the habits that determine their fate. The average person allows moods, gossip, and the small distractions of the day to dictate how they feel and what they do. But the person with a winning mind rises above these impulses, choosing instead to command thought as a general commands his army. Every soldier of thought is assigned a task, every regiment of ideas is placed in formation, and together they march toward the chosen goal. Such a mind wastes no time on idle daydreams, on resentments, or on worry. It focuses all its power on what can be built, what can be improved, and what must be achieved. This strength is not developed in a single day. It is built through constant repetition. Just as muscles harden and grow when tested, the mind grows strong when disciplined by deliberate choice. A man who practices gratitude every morning soon becomes a man who sees opportunity instead of limitation. A woman who daily visualizes her success soon becomes a woman who attracts the very conditions she envisions. The mind reflects what it repeats. Feed it with victory, and it will find victory everywhere. Feed it with defeat, and defeat will soon appear at every door. Another essential quality of the winning mind is resilience. Life will never hand victory on a silver platter. It will test, challenge, and sometimes crush the unprepared. The winning mind expects adversity, not with dread, but with readiness. It understands that storms strengthen the roots of the tree, that heat forges the strength of steel, and that resistance builds the might of the champion. When others see an ending, the winning mind sees a beginning. When others collapse under pressure, the winning mind grows sharper, quicker, and more inventive. Resilience is not just the ability to survive, it is the ability to thrive because of what one has survived. Confidence is another pillar of the victorious mind. True confidence is not arrogance, it is certainty. It is the quiet assurance that one can face whatever comes because the mind has been trained to respond with clarity and strength. Confidence is the product of preparation. Each hour spent in study, each day spent in disciplined effort, adds to the reservoir of assurance. The mind that wins knows that doubt cannot survive in the presence of preparation. Yet, perhaps the most overlooked element of a winning mind is gratitude. Gratitude keeps ambition from rotting into greed, and it prevents struggle from turning into bitterness. Gratitude turns every small step into progress worth celebrating. The winning mind recognizes that even obstacles contain gifts, that every difficulty carries within it a lesson. With gratitude, failure is no longer poison but nourishment. Gratitude keeps the heart light while the will remains strong. And when all these forces, clarity, belief, persistence, discipline, imagination, self-control, resilience, confidence, gratitude are woven together, the mind becomes an instrument of unstoppable power. It becomes a mind that cannot be bought off by comfort, cannot be discouraged by difficulty, and cannot be distracted by triviality. It becomes a mind that wins every time, not because the world is always kind, but because the mind has been trained to turn every circumstance into an ally. Such a mind becomes a magnet for opportunities, a leader in times of uncertainty, and a source of strength for others. It proves that victory is not a gift from fate but a consequence of thought, and that the person who chooses to master their inner world will inevitably master their outer world as well. The mind that wins every time is also the mind that understands time itself. Every hour is a currency, and those who spend it on aimless distraction will find themselves bankrupt when opportunity calls. But those who guard their hours as a treasure, who dedicate each moment to growth, creation, or preparation, will find that time itself becomes an ally. A person who disciplines their schedule disciplines their destiny. Each morning they rise with purpose, each night they rest with satisfaction, for they have invested the day rather than squandered it. The mind that wins is not rushed, for it knows how to direct time rather than be directed by it. Another truth is that the winning mind does not wait for ideal conditions. It acts now with what it has where it is. Many postpone their dreams until the day when resources are plentiful, when approval is guaranteed, when the path is perfectly clear. But that day never arrives. The winning mind begins with the tools at hand, trusting that more will be provided along the journey. It understands that progress creates momentum, and momentum reveals opportunity. To wait for perfection is to wait forever. To begin, however imperfectly, is to set destiny in motion. The winning mind also values silence. In a world filled with noise, opinions, and endless chatter, the ability to withdraw into stillness is a weapon. Silence sharpens clarity. It allows one to hear the quiet voice of intuition, the whisper of imagination, the guidance that is drowned out by constant distraction. In silence, the mind learns to separate the essential from the trivial. The individual who cultivates silence cultivates wisdom, and wisdom is the highest form of victory. Equally important is adaptability. The winning mind does not cling stubbornly to methods that no longer serve. It is flexible, willing to adjust strategy while keeping the vision intact. It sees failure not as the end of the road, but as a signpost pointing to a better route. Rigidity breaks under pressure, but adaptability bends and survives. The one who adapts quickly always has the advantage over the one who insists the world conform to their way. Victory belongs to the mind that learns faster than its environment changes. A mind that wins also holds itself accountable. It does not blame fate, society, or circumstance. It does not point to others as the cause of failure. Instead, it asks, what must I do differently? How can I grow stronger? What lesson must I extract from this challenge? Accountability gives power, for when you take responsibility, you also take control. Excuses may bring temporary comfort, but they rob the mind of its strength. Responsibility may feel heavy at first, but it builds muscles that make any load bearable. Generosity, too, belongs to the victorious mind. To give, to contribute, to uplift others is not weakness. It is strength multiplied. A selfish mind may win for a season, but its victories are hollow and short-lived. A generous mind creates allies, loyalty, and goodwill that cannot be purchased. In lifting others, one is lifted higher. In sharing ideas, wealth, and encouragement, one creates a tide that carries everyone forward. A mind that wins understands that true success cannot exist in isolation, but thrives in the elevation of others. The mind that wins every time is therefore a tapestry woven of many threads: discipline, persistence, resilience, imagination, gratitude, adaptability, accountability, generosity, silence, clarity, and belief. Together these threads form a fabric that cannot be torn by adversity, cannot be worn by time, and cannot be diminished by opposition. Such a mind does not merely survive the battles of life, it defines them. It shapes the narrative, dictates the pace, and creates the conditions for victory. And in the end, it proves that the greatest empire a person can build is the empire of their own thoughts, for from that empire all other victories flow. The mind that wins every time is also a mind trained to see opportunity where others see defeat. When the average person meets resistance, they complain, withdraw, or surrender. But the person with a cultivated, victorious mind looks deeper and asks, what is the hidden advantage? Where is the seed of equal or greater benefit in this? Every difficulty contains within it a lesson, and every lesson strengthens the one who is willing to learn. The winning mind does not curse the storm. It learns how to sail better because of it. It does not shrink when the mountain rises before it. It grows stronger legs to climb it, and in that climb it develops the endurance that will later be needed for even greater victories. The winning mind also knows the value of faith in action. It does not simply hope, it expects. It does not merely desire, it demands of itself the persistence to continue. This expectation, this inner certainty, becomes magnetic. It draws the right people, the right ideas, and the right circumstances toward it. Faith without action is daydreaming, but action without faith is hollow and easily defeated. Together they form an unstoppable combination, for faith creates vision and action makes it real. Patience is another mark of the victorious mind. The world often rewards those who can wait, who can endure the seasons of preparation without despairing. Impatience leads many to abandon the field just before the harvest. They dig up their seeds to see if they are growing, never realizing that growth is taking place underground, out of sight, preparing for the right moment to emerge. The winning mind trusts the process. It plants, it waters, it tends the soil, and it waits, knowing that nature never betrays the one who obeys her laws. Another quality is courage. Fear is natural, but surrendering to it is a choice. The winning mind does not allow fear to dictate decisions. Instead, it feels the fear and moves forward anyway, for it knows that fear shrinks when faced, but grows when avoided. Every courageous act adds strength to the soul and confidence to the mind, and courage does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "I will try again tomorrow." But even that quiet persistence is enough to maintain momentum until the tide of victory turns. The winning mind is also characterized by vision. Vision gives direction when the path seems dark. It allows one to see beyond the immediate struggle and hold fast to the greater outcome. Vision is a lighthouse that keeps the sailor on course even in the fiercest storm. Without vision, people wander aimlessly, swayed by every distraction and discouraged by every obstacle. With vision, they endure trials with patience, for they know what lies ahead. A person with vision cannot be easily persuaded to quit, for they see the end before they begin, and that end compels them forward. Lastly, the winning mind never ceases to grow. It is humble enough to learn, hungry enough to seek, and wise enough to know that victory is not a final destination, but a continual unfolding. The moment one believes they have arrived, they begin to decline. But the mind that seeks growth will always find new challenges, new lessons, and new triumphs. Growth is the lifeblood of victory, and a growing mind is a winning mind. To develop such a mind is to unlock the true potential of life itself. For everything begins within, and once the inner world is mastered, the outer world must eventually conform. The man or woman who chooses to cultivate their mind with these principles will discover that winning is no longer a matter of chance, but of certainty, no longer dependent on the mercy of fate, but on the mastery of thought. And when this mastery is attained, defeat becomes only temporary, obstacles become stepping stones, and life itself becomes a canvas upon which victory is painted again and again. The mind that wins every time is not a gift reserved for the fortunate few. It is a discipline, a practice, a choice that any man or woman can make. It is forged in the furnace of persistence, strengthened by clarity of vision, guided by belief, and sustained by unwavering discipline. To develop such a mind is to rise above the limitations of chance and circumstance, to stand as the master of your own destiny. Life will always test you, but when the mind is trained to expect victory, even defeat becomes fuel for greater strength. So guard your thoughts, direct your energy, and commit to growth, for the one who conquers within cannot be conquered without. In the end, the greatest triumph is not over the world, but over the self. and once that victory is won, every other victory will follow.